Welcome to Honor Your True Story with Antonia Nelson, a podcast dedicated to sharing inspiring stories of hope, kindness, love, and compassion. Listen in as Antonia's guests share pivotal moments, forks in the road, ups and downs, and wisdom earned on the road of life.
Today, our guest is Stephanie J. Allen, who's been a therapist, instructor, published author, and award-winning speaker for over 2.5 decades. An entrepreneur, consultant, and president of Gateway Development, she's worked with some of the world's top companies on corporate health and well-being, stress management, and in the treatment of chronic pain syndromes. Stephanie also works in the lane of leadership and health and enhancing healthy relationships by recognizing strengths, leveraging value, and creating awareness that optimizes impact potential and results for both life and business. Awesome stuff. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too, Anthony. It's wonderful to see you and connect with you today.
You too. So we've known each other for over 23 years.
Definitely.
I love it. And it's always awesome to me to see a friend, as they're living their life and the different things that they are doing and going for. And I certainly have seen that with you and been inspired for sure. And you also have a podcast with Maren Oslak. It's called the Soulful Leader Podcast. And we've talked about that before, about people being kind of stuck in just the physical aspect. And you shared you'd like to speak about that.
Yeah. I think it shares and mirrors my own personal journey as well. Like, I feel for the most part in our world, we can get so distracted by the physical, what it looks like and what it should look like and why it doesn't look like the way we want it to look like. And we must be doing something wrong. I call it the shoulda, coulda, woulda, ought tos. And we can set ourselves up for that, which is a great stress when we're constantly, determining our value and worth by what we see outside. And we're not really encouraged, or we don't have role models or ways to really connect to that value and connection inside. And my own personal journey, which led me to help, unpack that, was chronic pain. Like I say, this will be my 30th year as being a massage therapist. I took massage therapy, not because I wanted to be a massage therapist. I really didn't have any interest in touching people. I thought that was kind of like a little too intimate for me. But I was really interested about having a massage. And so I thought the only way I was really going to learn massage was just to go and I just took a weekend course. And it completely changed my life. And that led me into, the journey of discovering. And in that process, I ended up with chronic pain, really quick on. And I thought, well, it's a good thing I'm taking massage. Maybe I can solve my problem with this physical pain. And that was 30 years ago. And not to say that I still have pain, but now I understand it and have a different relationship to it, rather than feeling like I did something wrong or I'm being beat up by it. Now I have this, it's almost like this intimate relationship with this soul being inside me that guides me and gives me little taps every once in a while to help remind me to go inside and to connect and be present to that. So
yeah, you bring up a really great point, and I concur with your journey of, being a body worker and being in so much pain, and then having something that really shifted it, and it wasn't working on a body.
No.
I'm like, wait, how did that happen? That could take the pain. Okay. So for you talked about this place inside of you that gives you these little taps. So I'm imagining for all of our listeners as well, that doesn't just happen out of the blue.
Oh, and if it does happen out of the blue, we're really quite irritated about the whole thing. It was like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I always used to think the teacher was going to be this loving, kind, beautiful being that was going to serve me tea and have conversation. I thought, that would be so lovely. But no, my teacher kicked me really hard. And it woke me up because, for the most part, our our lives aren't really encouraged to wake up to the whispers or to the taps. We tend not to wake up until something is really, really irritating us. And that could be physical pain, but it might be mental or emotional pain too. When I say pain, I'm encompassing many different levels of pain and discomfort. That tends to make us uncomfortable enough to go seeking.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
have you found, with the COVID time where we were really forced to, get more quiet and be with ourselves, I found that, was a great way. I know for a lot of people, it was really awful and painful and everything. And I think a good thing that came out of it is people maybe got a little more in touch with themselves.
I hope so. I really hope so. I know for myself, I talk a lot about taking care of yourself and learning how to love yourself. And a lot of that was really coming from, hey, that sounds like a great idea. We should take care of ourselves. We should love ourselves, but not really knowing how or what really that meant. And then the times in COVID, like that was the first time in my entire life. And I started working, I grew up in family businesses. So both my mom and my dad had family businesses. So if I wasn't doing one thing in the wintertime, I was doing something else in the summertime because we had both a winter and a summer business. And I never stopped. Like I really had an identity that who I was what I do, not who am I? Like, who am I really? And what is that deep self? What is that within me that is longing for? Like, what am I longing for? Who am I? I was constantly people pleasing. And that was my identity. And probably why I found massage therapy and body work so wonderful, because I could have an outlet for my people pleasing.
Yeah.
But when COVID happened, all of a sudden I couldn't do my traditional ways of people pleasing. And I was literally isolated in my home. And I know it was an incredibly hard time for a lot of people. But what I also realized, not just for myself, but also for those that I work with, is that it was a great opportunity for people to get in touch of their values, of like, what am I doing? Who am I with? Where am I going? What is important to me? Like all of those values started coming up, which when I look at the pandemic, I could say maybe the pandemic was a pandemic of fear. And that's the real pandemic, instead of creating a pandemic of love. And so it was during that time that I started to reflect on what's the difference between self-care and self-love. And, caring for yourself is a wonderful thing. Eating right, going to bed, having a good night's sleep, getting outside, hugging trees, taking bubble baths, getting massages. Those are wonderful self-care things. And we can do it as self-care. But to go a little deeper is to say, well, what would self-love mean? And that's more internal. That's taking all those self-care things and bringing them more deeply in to listening to how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself emotionally, mentally. And, when we're looking at the uncovering of the pandemic, we're now seeing this huge shift of that we're realizing how much mental health is so prevalent and so needed, and how much mental illness is so prevalent as well. And I think it's always been there, but now it's unveiled. It's right in front of us. We have to deal with it.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's erupted, and there's no more denying it or pretending like it's not happening or looking and pointing fingers at them, thinking it's them. I think we've all had touches of what that means. And how are we going to show up to people that need the help and support? And I think what you're exactly talking about is, it's not just telling people go have bubble baths and eat chocolate and get massages. Like it runs way deeper than that.
Yeah, that's a great beginning. That's a great beginning. And it has great value, especially when we can bring the solitude to it and an intention of discovering, who am I? Why am I here? What is the meaning or the purpose or the fulfillment of my life? What am I called to do or be? And we need space to do that. We need space inside our hearts, inside of our awareness, and silence to just listen. And our world is set up to not have space. Don't listen. Here, let me just throw you another advertisement. Let me just, let me just distract you with this shiny object, and you could do this and you could do that and blah, 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 blah. And it's really easy to not connect.
Yeah, it was surprising and yet not, as COVID started to kind of wane down, all the advertisements and the, take this class, come do this, and then do this. And I was like, whoa, it just really hit after 2 years of kind of not that, and there it was hitting again. And I was just reading an article on LinkedIn today talking about being kind to your employees, care of your employees and business. And I'm thinking, part of me is like, well, duh, isn't that just a no-brainer? You would want to be kind to these people. I thought people spend more time at work than they do anywhere else.
Your waking life is at work.
Yeah.
2/3 of your waking life. That's more than what you spend with your family. So essentially, your work family is every bit, if not more, of value, because that's where you're putting your time and your energy and your effort is. And I think that's where people are starting to shift, going, is that where I really want to put my priority? Is there another way to be in relationship with this life that will feed me and nourish me at a deeper level, and also align me to what is true in my heart and where I want to put my time and my energy and my money?
And it's been so cool seeing people who have left what they were doing before because it didn't serve them. A paycheck had served them, but nothing else. And people opening new businesses, starting new careers, new ventures. That's really exciting to see. Really, I see how much courage it takes to do that.
I love seeing that, and getting back to the little whispers and the little taps and the things that got me. I had a trajectory in my life of what I thought I should do and where I should go and who I should be. And then I got not just a tap, I got kind of the 2x4 to knock me out. That made me also reflect. And this was like 30 years ago, that made me reflect, is this how I wanted to do my life? And then allowing, because really massage therapy, the little flyer showed up on my doorstep. I didn't go seeking for it. It actually came to me. And there's a belief system that we have to go out there and make things happen. Like, you can't just sit on your butt and, let it come to you. You know what? Yes, you can. If you're in the right place inside, it will come to you. It will walk in through your front door, whatever that is, a relationship, a job, a career, a healing, whatever it might be. But you've got to do the inner work inside of really discovering and cleaning out all the things that you think you are and the things you think you're not. And that's that whole mental element of challenging those belief systems, challenging them. And that all plays out on your body. Right. So I find that when there's physical pain, it's a great doorway to start, tuning into that. And I like to see it as an opportunity to really learn how to love yourself. And when I look at, when you talk about employers, it's a no-brainer. Employers, of course, why aren't they caring and valuing for their people? For that, they're the ones that are out there connecting to the public and bringing, trust and value to the business. But yet we cannot give something to someone that we do not already possess ourselves. It's like, you can't get blood from a stone. It doesn't have it. You can't get it. And I started to realize with the 30 years of people pleasing in my life that when the pandemic happened, I started to realize all the things I want to give to others, how am I practicing that for myself? Do I even know to do that? And so there was a real calling for me to go even deeper inside to know, well, what does it mean to love Stephanie? And what are the thoughts and the beliefs and the stories that I'm telling myself that are not empowering or not engaging love? And what can I do differently to really love and nurture myself and change those voices, change those thoughts, change those visions? And it was a great opportunity. And it's now I can't go back to who I used to be because I'm not that person anymore. I love, there's a saying, it's you can't step into the same river twice. Because it's always moving, and our consciousness, our awareness, our lives are literally in the outer world are always moving, but so is the inner if we allow it, and that it can be a good thing.
Yeah, I think that is really powerful to imagine that even though on some level for somebody, it may seem that, oh, today it's just like yesterday. I feel like this. The truth of it is, it's not. It's like, as you said, you're not the same being that you were 5 minutes ago. Everything is always changing. And I hope that gives people some hope, and like, okay, even though maybe it feels like it may be that it's the same, it's not the same.
Well, it's interesting because when you say it's like we want to hold on to something that's familiar, that's the same, right? Because it gives comfort and safety and security in it, right? And we control it. And I guess we even have to back up and look at, what does change mean to you? And if we believe that change is frightening and we won't be prepared and we're not going to be safe, then you're going to fight it even more. It's going to be really hard on you. It's kind of like floating down a river and you're trying to hang on to the branches on the side of the river, and the river's going faster and faster and faster. And you're like, no, I can't. I don't know where this river is going. I don't trust this river. Then we'll hang on for dear life. And that river is going to rip us and it's going to hurt our arms. We're going to suffer, versus trusting that the river has a destination, and that destination is going to be calm, beautiful waters, because it is. And if you can just enjoy the ride and allow it and hold center with, there is a loving presence within all of us. It's there. If we can trust it and we don't have to resist, we create less damage in ourselves and in each other if we do.
Yeah.
And we pay attention and we use a lot less energy. And it's a lot more fun to ride those waves. It's like the adventure rides at the adventure parks, right?
Totally.
It's like, trust
Totally.
it.
And that memory, that knowing that it doesn't mean there's not going to be wild water, that it doesn't mean smooth sailing. There will always be ups and downs in life. And it's
Exactly.
how we ride it, how we respond to it.
And what we believe about it, right? So if we think, there's a saying that Einstein said, it's like, if you believe the universe is unfriendly, then you will resist everything. You will fight everything. You will try to control it. You will project that out. And therefore you create that wave of disharmony. But if you believe the universe is friendly, you actually will seek the friendliness, the support, the guidance, the help. Like which universe do you want to live into?
Right. Yeah.
And just even that alone, it's like, if you truly believe, and I love that word, to be living means to believe. If you truly believe that the universe is friendly, automatically your breath slows down and you relax, your muscles relax, you use less energy, you're more at peace, you sleep better, you listen better, you see where you need to go. Like, you're not so shut down into fight or flight or survival mode.
Yeah.
And like you said, doesn't mean that we're not going to go through those rough times. And that, to me, like, people say, oh yeah, but I'm having a really hard time. And I was going to say, congratulations. That means you graduated, from one level. Now you're in another level. You're in a place you've never been before. And you have another opportunity to embrace that belief again, to believe it and to practice it. And that's the spiritual training, the spiritual weightlifting, so
Yes.
to speak, that you're getting stronger and you're growing. This is fantastic.
It is. It is. And it doesn't always feel good. And
It
that's
does
okay.
not always feel good. And that's why we also need each other in that way of like finding other people who have a very positive or practice of working with that inside, is that you can lean on them when you need to. And they'll be able to lean on you when they need to. It's very important. We're not in this alone. I love that about the pandemic. No one was no one was outside of it. We were all in, the first time ever, a whole humanity was going through this together. It just shows how united we really are, and how we really do affect each other, and how we could either tear each other down or lift each other up. It's our choice.
Yeah. So I know you've been practicing this for a long time, and you are walking your talk. I totally have seen that in you all the years that I've met you. So you talked about, like you said, being in the river and you're holding on to the branches as tight as you can. Have you had any moments in your life where you've had a choice or a decision or something where you really holding on for dear life, didn't want to let go, and yet and you had to make, another choice. And I'm just wondering, what is the wisdom that you got out of the whole experience?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to back it up a bit, what you said about practice, because it is a practice and it's always a practice. And someone told me one time, they said, practice does not make perfect, practice makes permanent. Meaning if you're practicing something, that's what you'll default on, which I like because I am in constantly practice. There is no perfection.
Me too. Yeah.
And yes, there's been numerous times where I thought I had it all figured out and then it fell apart and my heart would break and I would try to put it back together because that's what we do as humans. Like, oh, get it back together. I got to hang on to it. I got to work harder. And I guess the lessons that I learned is that, and I'm still learning them, is really, first of all, love yourself. Like, I think we tend to default of beating ourselves up and said, I must have done something wrong. We shame ourselves. And I love acronyms, so I'm going to use another acronym here. Shame means should have already mastered everything, which is ego.
That's a good one.
We can't master everything. We're not supposed to. This is Earth School. We're here to learn. And so to be kind with yourself, just like a small child learning how to walk or speak for the first time, they're going to make mistakes. And when we've stepped out of our comfort zone, which is what we're meant to do in order to grow, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to skin our knees. We're going to say things we don't want to, we go, oops, I shouldn't have said that. And not, that is the practice, is to take time to just go and wrap your arms around yourself and say, it's going to be okay. Like as if you had a loving parent or a divine being who just holds you and sees you as absolutely precious and sacred. And you would treat yourself that way. It's like, I got to give it to myself first. And every time I do that, I'm like, oh, it's a practice for love. Here we go. And I mean, there's been many times, how I even found massage therapy was a time that I broke open. I mean, this was 30 some odd years ago, when I had left university and I had my first job and thought I had, I checked all the boxes. I was doing really good. And, I had a job, I call it a job from hell. Back then I would have called it a job from hell. Now I call it a job from heaven because it really helped to, get me on my journey. But in one day, I lost my boyfriend, he caught him cheating on me. I had a car accident and I lost my job. Like,
wow.
Like you kind of go, oh, like, why should I even live? I mean, that was probably the most intense part, but I also had no practice to be able to learn how to love myself. Like it was really, really hard. And then there were numerous times after that. Like there was lots of times, losing jobs, losing boyfriends, changing careers, losing money, car accidents. There was lots of different chaotic drama things. But every time something like that would happen, I was able to go back in and work and nourish with myself. But also I started to collectively gather a community. You were part of that community that I started to pull upon like-minded, like-hearted individuals who were on a journey that could remind me that the universe is loving and friendly. So when I forgot or when I fell, then I could practice being in harmony with that and sourcing that, breathing practices, meditations, journaling, so many different things that I would learn so much from my community. And then the things didn't get so bad after that. Like, it's like all of a sudden, it's like you can start to realize, I know there was a part of me that was addicted to the drama and the trauma so that I could feel, because I had suppressed my feelings so long until I realized, I'm like, I don't need to go through this stuff to really feel. What if I just felt? What if I just went there? What if I just listened to the whisper instead of wait, and not out of fear, but out of love and respect for myself, of like, it doesn't have to be dramatic and traumatic in order for me to grow and wake up. There is a gentler, kinder, loving way. And years of practice, like I said, years of practices and years of being around a community that was also practicing those helped me really, I would say, stay alive, but I would also say die to who I thought I was, so that I could literally step into becoming and unveiling. It's almost like there's nothing we need to fix. Everyone out there, sometimes we think we're broken and we need fixing. It's like, you don't need fixing. You just need to uncover some stuff. It's like cleaning out your closet. It's like, if you never cleaned out your closet since, you were 10 years old, you might have some stuff in there that doesn't fit you anymore.
Right.
And that you don't ever want to see again. And it's the same with our consciousness. It's like, if we can purify that out and kind of clear it out, then there's space to then go, what is it that I want? Or not even what is it that I want, because that's still kind of ego-like. It's like, what is the divine or spirit or my soul? What does it want to bring me? Because if I make the I important, then I will miss what perhaps the divine or spirit is offering me, which is always going to be more beautiful than I could ever create myself. So it's
Totally.
allowing that space. So
Yeah.
that's what I hold on to. Someone said to me the other day, they said, Stephanie, you have so much hope. Like, you just amazed. She goes, I don't have that much hope. Like, where did you get the hope? And for me, if I didn't have hope, that's like the mustard seed that moves the mountain. It's like, if I don't have hope, then what do I have? Like, to me, the hope for me is knowing that there's a loving presence that's guiding us all. And that's what allows me to come closer instead of being afraid of it. Because I think we're taught, in our society and, religions and different things, to be afraid. And that's what closes the door and closes our heart, instead of saying, I want to believe that there's a loving presence and I want to be living that. So show me, help me. And I talk to that loving presence all the time. Like, sometimes I'm not so friendly. I kind of say, okay, listen, show me what.
Yep.
I'm not so quick today. Can you just like make it really obvious?
Yeah, I have those conversations myself. Yep.
And then I have to remember to just slow down, and that the loving presence is always showing me. I just need to slow down enough to see it, to breathe it, to be it, to listen. And have it and make it fun. I often will tell my clients this. I said, ask for signs and wonders. And I said, and I always preface, because this is from my own lesson. So this is your question of like, how have I learned? Then I preface by saying, and come in a way that surprises and delights me.
Yes.
And tickles me. I don't want to be hurt. Please don't hurt me. But come in a way that surprises and delights me and tickles my heart.
Yeah, there is something about that. When for me it was, riding a bulldozer, like, something that I needed to get, or something that needed to be happening. I was on the bulldozer, driving forward, making it happen, right? And that whole concept of
pedal to the metal, right? Full blaze ahead.
Yeah. And that concept of, allowing the universe, allowing spirit to show us, right? Well, I'm like, come on, that was just so foreign to me. And it was like, pulling like tar off something, trying to get unstuck from that belief, to allow and really, turn it over, allow spirit to send what needed to come, what I most needed to help me learn and grow. And as you said, it's always been way better than what I ever could have thought of. Always.
Sometimes we think of like just turning it over and surrendering as a way of like resigning and giving up. And we're even hearing that right now, talking about the great resignation of like, people are leaving jobs or leaving relationships and they're resigning. But maybe it's not resignation. Maybe it's ignition. Maybe it's the great reignition.
Ooh, I like that.
I do too.
You need to trademark that, Stephanie.
It's a great reignition, that we're reigniting ourselves to move towards something that is more loving and more beautiful. Not resigning to like, oh, well, whatever will be, because that can kind of feel like you just gave up. Instead of saying, I'm just ignited about what, like the empty space. Like they say that the universe loves a vacuum because it wants to fill it. Like, there's always space, right? And so the universe will fill it with whatever your heart and soul is asking for, not just consciously, but a lot of it is unconscious. So if you say, instead of resigning, you say, I'm reignited, show me all the ways that you're going to ignite me and move me towards the ideal, the universe will fill that with that. And so it's not about giving up and resignation to it. It's getting reignited and moving towards something more beautiful, more true for you.
I really love that. Really, really love that, because it takes a lot of courage to say wherever I'm at or whatever, this isn't working for me anymore, or
Yeah.
however that shows up, and to be able to move from that to the next place, that looking at it as a reignition of like, I'm caring enough about myself that I'm not going to let myself sit in this any longer. And
Or I'm going to sit in this and know that you're going to create a garden out of it.
yeah.
It's like, it's okay to sit in it. Perhaps you're in compost mode and it's not the right time to put the compost in the garden because it's still toxic. So you just need to sit and ferment for a little bit, and that's okay. It's like, it's okay for us as positive Pollyannas out there to not be okay, to say, I don't know. I'm feeling uncertain and a little scared, but I also have that ignition, or that mustard seed of hope, that I know that the universe loves me. So I'm going to sit here until it's right time for me to spread my fertilizer on the garden. It's like, it's just not right time yet.
Yeah. Which
And
I
the
guess
universe will show me when it is.
Yeah. And that takes us back to what you were talking to before when we first started, was about when you're doing the inner work, you have a much deeper connection to the divine and also to the self, as far as what your choices and decisions will be. So
Absolutely.
It's kind of full circling. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, so many people will come to, and I know for you too, in our last, 20, 30 years of doing what we've been doing, they'll come with a physical pain. Oh, my shoulder hurts. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, I've got a headache. And, sometimes it is a physical reason, a physical manifestation. You strained yourself, or, you did, you hit your head, or you did something physically that warranted the pain. But often when it's a chronic pain, you have a physical symptom, but often when it's chronic, there's a mind stream, a belief system, or an emotion that's blocked. That's what Chinese medicine is blocked emotion, blocked energy. And so when we can get that energy into flow, again, it starts to move. And when we can create an environment, if you think about something, you think about your skin, if you get a scratch or a wound on your skin, if you create an environment for health and well-being around it, you keep it clean, you don't pick at it, you just leave it alone, your body knows exactly how to heal it. So we need to create an internal environment, mentally and emotionally, that's going to be fruitful for healing. And that is an environment of love and care. No one's going to do anything out of fear. I mean, we do for a little bit. It's like we'll react out of fear, and that's a good motivator to get us going. But over the long term, it's exhausting. Whereas love is ever fueling you. So creating that internal environment of love is what nourishes us. It's what feeds us. It's what helps repair us and replenishes us. And it's the path less taken, really, that path less traveled. And perhaps in the time of where we are, we're being really asked to find that path.
I'm right there with you. Agree with you that it is showing up for us for some reason. Some reason. Yeah. So what's next for you?
So what's next for me? Well, I was just saying, 30 years of doing body work, I've really been contemplating, because interesting enough, I've had some body aches and pains over the last month or so, kind of reigniting, getting back into doing what I'm doing. And I said, I can't go back to old Stephanie. And so looking at what is new Stephanie, and not just about creating new Stephanie, but also listening to what spirit or the universe wants Stephanie to do. So it's like, it's not always up to me, but I'm totally in relationship with the divine to say, what am I meant to be doing? And one of the things that I've been enjoying doing is the podcast with Marin, doing the Soulful Leader podcast, which we love. And we're working specifically with entrepreneurs and leaders as a solution, or as a remedy to the difficulties and the challenges that we are experiencing, both personally and collectively in our environment. And I'm enjoying taking my 30 years of healing background and bringing it into helping people find their gifts, their strengths, their values, and live it in a way that is right and true for their heart and their soul. So connecting and creating practices. So making a little shift of like one-to-one, but offering what I've done for the last 30 years in more of a group, and also going into companies and individuals. I find the collective, so often when people are having pain, it's because you're getting that little tap or you're getting that little nudge of saying there's something. I call it the rumble line. You know, when you're driving down the road and you got a rumble line and it's because you're off path and it goes kind of, it wakes you up. That's the whole point of the rumble line. And I look at that's the physical pain is the rumble line. And often it's because you've gotten off path somewhere or you're ready to change into a new direction. And so I love helping individuals who might have contemplated about doing their own business. And I don't mean business in the big corporate way. I mean doing their own entrepreneurship or solopreneurship to help them find their confidence and a pathway to really live the truth. Because when we really live our truth, like I said, you can't get blood from a stone, but when you actually live your truth, you actually empower other people to do the same. And we become the antidote to, like I said, the individual and collective problems in our world. So that's kind of where I'm going next, is really helping with entrepreneurs and leaders to be the antidote for our humanity and ourselves.
Well, I love that. And that is very exciting. So for people to go listen to your podcast, The Soulful Leader, which is available at all the places where you can get podcasts, Apple and Spotify. And
it's the Soulful Leader Podcast.
The Soulful Leader Podcast.com. So look for that and go listen. They've had some great episodes to listen to. And as far as people reaching you, if somebody hears this and goes, geez, I think I'd like you to do something in our business. How can they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me by going to my personal website, which is Stephanie and the letter J, Allen, ALLEN.com. And I have offerings in there. And I also have a little free experience that you can find your gifts and strengths in there. It's called I'm a Genius. So feel free to go in there. And it's a wonderful little experience of finding your frequency, finding your flow, which is the antidote to stress, by the way.
Awesome. Very awesome. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
I think the biggest thing to share is we are so incredibly hard on ourselves. I would say, put that on a shelf. That's the old practice that you've been practicing. And to give yourself permission to get to know yourself and to love those parts, even the parts that are hurting, especially the parts that are hurting, to really take time that you can let the shame go. Should have already mastered everything. No one has mastered everything. As long as you're here, you haven't mastered it yet. So there's no need or no need to have the shame, no need to carry it. Put it down and put love in its place and be loving and kind to yourself.
That's beautiful. So, and that may be the same thing I wanted to ask you. What would be one takeaway that you would want people to get from your talk today?
To breathe in love, breathe out love. When you catch yourself in an old habit, in an old way, just slow down, relax your body, take a nice long inhale and imagine that you are, I think of like smelling a flower or something really yummy in the kitchen that you love, like breathe it in and then exhale it out and give yourself, like the old saying say, give yourself 10 deep breaths and say, what would be the most loving, kind thing to do for myself right now?
That's sweet. As soon as you said that about breathing, I'm like, oh yeah, let me breathe here for a couple minutes. And immediately could feel, the calming start to happen. So huge gifts. So thank you for sharing all you did today. It was beautiful. And I look forward to you coming on again to tell us about where things have gone, as your work is going to share with us. Would love to have you on again.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I just love you and love what you're doing too. And thank you for this time together.
Thanks for coming on, Stephanie. I love you too.
Thanks for listening to Honor Your True Story. If you love what you heard, please share this podcast with a friend and be sure to subscribe, rate, and review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.